This El Jefe, how's it going? It's been a minute since I gave you a video. Today I'm gonna do a little overview of what I use to plant my sunflower fields. Show you it's nothing real fancy. Don't have no high dollar planter components or spreaders or sprayers or anything like that. This is a hobby. I do heating and air conditioning for a living. And I hope to one day to do this more and heating and air conditioning less, but we'll just have to wait and see. So the next little segment, I'm going to show you all my implements and the tractors and stuff that I use. El Jefe out. As I said just a minute ago, I'm going to go through what I use to plant my sunflowers. So we're going to start with the tractor, Massey Ferguson. I've had it a minute, bought it used. It was sitting in a field and made an offer, and we finally got it. So Massey Ferguson 253. Yeah, it's a good tractor. So on top of that, of course, we've got our spreader, which we use for fertilizer and whatnot. The rototiller, which is a great addition to what we used to do, is used to disc the field 3, 4, 5 times trying to get the seed bed like we wanted it, and it just took multiple trips to try to kill the grass and what have you years ago when we were first starting. Now we round up in February with the sprayer. It's down here on the end. Makeshift sprayer my father-in-law made. We can raise and lower the boom. I have drop nozzles so that I can spray below the plants. And I'll show you something else I do after the sunflowers are coming out of their flowering stage. They're dying, the plants are starting to die, and I got a way to speed that up. And then last but not least, we got the Bush Hog Hardy 1072, and that's what I do to pulverize the sunflower strips, you know, starting in August, before to try to keep the birds enticed, fresh seed on the ground, keep them coming, get a really strong feeding pattern. And I'll go into that in depth a little more. So we got the Bush Hog sprayer, we got a disc we do use, the rototiller, which is a must. All this is going to be pulled with the Massey Ferguson 253. We got the spreader that we're going to put out fertilizer and you know, not only the 15015 but some 33% for some sweet corn and stuff I use. And then we have the thing that does all the hardest work, and that's the planting. This is International 295 2-row planters. I've had this set for 2 years, this being the second year, so second season I've used them. I had some issues with, anytime you buy used equipment, you're going to run into some issues as far as things not working just right. They've been, you know, maybe neglected a little bit or what have you. But if you notice, one of the hoppers looks a little newer than the other one, and there's a reason for that. So when I bought this set, it was stored in a barn, and a tree had fallen on the barn and hit one of the hoppers and cracked the plate or the piece of equipment at the bottom of the hopper that holds the seed plate. It cracked it. They welded it, fixed it and everything, but the clearance between the plate and the seed, there was some variation there, so extra seed would fall everywhere as I was planting. And the first year I planted with these, you know, typically you shouldn't use but probably 3/4 of a 50-pound bag of seed, and I did like a bag and a half. So there was extra seed in the field. The birds were eating it, but it wasn't necessarily going in the ground, so it wasn't a very efficient way. Also, the plates that I used were corn plates that I've used before, 16 cell plates, and of course they're not sized correctly for sunflower seeds, so they dropped a lot of seed. You know, the spacing for sunflowers on the rows was extremely tight, and I kind of alluded to earlier that when they're real tight like that, they grow real tall with skinny stems, and if you have some inclement weather, well, your sunflowers laying on the ground once they get a big old head on top, which is not necessarily what you want to happen. But as you can see, the hopper's been replaced. I found one that matched exactly, and this year is the first year, as you can tell down there in the bottom, those plates, you see the gray on them, well, that is Bondo. I made a mold, put the plate in the mold, and Bondoed off actually all but 8 of the cells. I did that to try to do 2 things. One, control the amount of seed that's dropping, and to get better spacing. So I did it to both plates, and it turned out pretty good. I'm getting a little better spacing. Oh, excuse me there. I'm getting a little better spacing, but I'm still dropping too much seed. So each one of those slots is just a hair too big. So the next thing I'm going to try is to close off those cells and maybe drill them out to where I can get a opening that's closer to what the sunflower seed size is. So anyway, there you have it. So I fixed a planter after I planted this season. That hopper came late, but I did some test strips. So I was excited, so I decided, you know, what the heck. So I rototilled a few sections here. I sprayed them with my herbicide to keep them clean, and I sprayed and I actually planted some rows a little over a week ago. So, you know, you can see here, for example, you got some decent spacing, but it's dropping a little too many seeds. Same thing here, you get a better thing. You see 3 or 4 plants, space, 3 or 4 plants, 5 or 6 plants, so we're still dropping too much seed. So it's a work in progress. Do they make a sunflower seed plate? Maybe. Or they make a corn plate or something that's closer? Maybe. But I really liked using the Bondo and what it kind of did, and it's a work in progress. But if I'm able to perfect that with not only limiting the number of drops but the size of the drop, I'm hoping one day I can get close to 8 to 10 inches between sunflower. That's going to give me good optimum growth of the stem and more than enough seed in the field, for sure. And you know, the fertilizer that you put out there, you know, it's going right to the plant it needs to, not a ton of stems. You know, you just don't want that many stems per acre. So it's a work in progress. Like I said, these sunflowers hopped up pretty good. Ground's good and warm. They're actually starting to get their first real leaves. The deer haven't found them yet. There's beans right there, and the deer have found them. So will they make it through to flower? Probably not. The deer find them in one night. They walk these rows, and next thing you know, they're gone. But I at least wanted to get the new hopper in there to try it out, and I was very happy with it. So as far as today, you kind of see what I'm using to plant my sunflower fields. Nothing fancy, like I said. You know, everything was used. It's got some age on it. You got to maintain it and do the best you can with what you got. And that's about it. So I do want to show you some sunflower every year. Before I start planting, a little concern with soil temperature. So I take sunflower seeds and I plant them in my garden and see how quickly they germinate. These were some of the first ones I planted in the garden. They get plenty of fertilizer. They're weeded around a little bit. They're taken care of like a young child, if you will. But so you can see these cats. They're got good sized stems on them. They got some good height. We got one getting ready to bust a bloom here. They're all kind of pointing towards the sun. You know, that's what a sunflower does. He follows the sun. Got some multiple head ones in there too. But when you get good spacing and good fertilizer, look at the size of those stems. You know, they'll take a good windstorm. Now, once they get the heads bigger, you know, they can get blown over still, but some pretty sunflowers there. A little sweet corn in there too, potatoes. About done with them, some okra. Hey, I like the garden. It's the way I kind of decompress, if you will, from a hard day of work. It's El Jefe. I hope you enjoyed this little tidbit. One short video kind of letting you know what's going on, and a little longer video showing me what I do. Y'all take care, and we'll talk to you towards the weekend. It's El Jefe, and I'm out of here.